Hello everyone, this is Daikaiju SpaceZilla's approaching ya. And does bigger budgets actually make something better? This has always been an interesting topic to me, as there's so many people who go around acting like big budgets make something better. But does it though? I never really understood this mindset, as there's a lot of media on small budgets that blow many big budget movies out of the water. What spawns this ideology has always been beyond my understanding, and today I'm gonna give my in-depth thoughts on why I believe this is a biased and incorrect belief. I do think in some cases the artist with talent can be more expensive to hire than someone who sucks, but that has nothing to do with the budget itself. It's that talented people are sometimes a lot of cash to hire, which is their choice and nothing else. However, that isn't always the case here. There's excellent artists like Bruce Campbell, Lance Henriksen, Keith David, Mark Hamill, Sam Raimi, Lucy Liu, Toby Hooper, Stan Winston, Tom Savini, Jennifer Kent, etc. And that's not to mention all the talented artists in foreign countries like Ishiro Honda, Park Chan-wook, Rinku Kikuchi, Yuki Kaji, Kang Song-ho, Yumiko Shaku, Bae-duna, Mika Hiji, Akihiko Hirata, Eiji Tsuburaya, Akira Ifukube, Shinichi Kawakita, and much more. Hell, some of these people worked on big budget media, and did that smaller paycheck stop them from putting their all in their work? Fuck no! They treated it exactly like they would if they were getting paid a lot of money. In fact, the irony here is some of these people that are normally very talented, some of their weakest works tend to be their high budget movies. Take Ang Lee for example. His most praised works are Chinese movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Lust Caution, etc., while his Hulk movie nobody likes. That's not to say he hasn't made well-received big-budget American movies, because he has. But the point here is, he's able to get a big budget and fall drastically short on quality compared to his smaller budget works. Don't get me wrong, I've seen none of Ang Lee's works that I'm aware of, though I plan to fix that soon. But from many well-structured reviews I've seen and read, he's made lots of great work while his Hulk movie fucking sucks. Did Ghostbusters 2015's budget do it any favors? Hell no! That movie had a $144 million budget and it failed in almost every way possible. From the obnoxious acting, annoying characters, cringy humor, piss-poor effects, and dreadful story, fuck that movie. Saying more money equals better is, in my personal opinion, extremely absurd. Because if the actors, actresses, writers, directors, composers, etc. fail, it's not because of their lack of cash. It's because the crew was incompetent. Now I will say this, budget does affect graphics, special effects, and animation quality to an extent, but hardly. Because if you use your budget properly, you can look top tier, but you gotta know your limits. Take the Godzilla franchise for example. Though they're high budget movies for Japanese standards, their budgets aren't anywhere near what Hollywood blockbusters have to offer. Yet they look phenomenal and offer better than most Hollywood movies. But that's because they manage their budgets and don't do anything too crazy. They're able to deliver highly detailed miniature suits and CGI full of life and just look impressive overall. Of course, Godzilla Final Wars added lots of different monsters and went more crazy with the action and such, so they needed to up their budget to $19 million in order to make them as convincing as the previous movies. The only thing that really hasn't aged well in it was the digital effects, but that's because at the time of its release, it took a huge budget to make CGI look as fantastic as practical effects, and I'm sure Final Wars could have pulled it off with its huge budget if there were far less monsters and over-the-top action sequences, but that would have changed the movie in many ways, so for what their budget was able to pull off in 2004, it looked good, and it was only used when necessary. The host looked brilliant for the budget, but the CGI has dated a little, though still looks good with that being said. But that's because it had a good enough budget to give it that quality, but didn't fill the movie with it to do so. But there was still plenty of talent put in that made the creature looking as good as it did possible, and their efforts should be praised as it were a huge budget movie with extremely high quality effects, as that's the best the budget would let them pull off. These days, however, CGI has been perfected with smaller budgets too, like the Attack on Titan movies, Shin Godzilla, and more with their incredible rendering, attention to detail, fluid movements, and they blend in with the environments greatly. This also goes for animation, as again, movies like Your Name are considered huge budget films in Japan, aren't anywhere near the amount of money American companies like Disney uses. But that didn't stop the talented animators from making it look top-notch, with the outstanding lighting, animations, drawings, and every gorgeous detail put into bringing that world to life. Big budget graphics, animation, and special effects can look pretty terrible too, as Black Panther often looked like a QuickTime event in a video game, and the Predator just looked plain cartoonish. But that's because though budget helps a little, at the end of the day, it depends on how talented the artist is. Because not only does the prop, suit, CGI model, or whatever the hell it is have to look good, you need good shots from the director and the right editing from the editor to make it believable. Pumpkinhead is a perfect example of this with its small budget of $4 million, but everything was done so well, you couldn't tell how little money was put into making it. Yes, a huge budget will prevent even the most incompetent special effect artists from making something that look as dreadful as the Asylum, but that doesn't make it look good. Right to Hell Retribution looked as bad as its budget would allow unless they were intentionally making it look like ass. Yeah, there's games on lower budgets that look worse, but for its budget, that's bottom of the barrel graphics, unless they were intending to do worse, as I already stated. But an indie game can still look beautiful to the maximum. Take No Man's Sky for example. Not everyone liked the game overall, but one thing everyone agree on is it is jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Its budget was low, but that didn't stop those who worked on the graphics from making the game look phenomenal. But that's because they were talented and used their budget smartly. Fallout 76 was on a bigger budget, but my god, it doesn't hold a candle to the beauty of No Man's Sky. But that's because the game developers were all incompetent from what I heard about that game in general. TV shows and such should also be judged on different standards for their special effects, as not only is the budget smaller than a big budget movie, but they also need to make different kinds to add diversity, and they don't have as much time to work on bringing them to life either as a movie does, because they have a lot of ones to work on, therefore they gotta get it done faster. So you got smaller budget combined with less time and different ones to work on, leading to there being a different standard. This also goes for animation because again, the budget is lower, but is also being used longer than a movie due to episodes, so it's not going to look like a movie, but will still look impressive in its own right when you judge it on a different standard like special effects will. Also, it is strongly worth noting a lot of American animated shows have dreadful animation these days, down to lazy and uninspired drawings, weird movements, lack of detail, and full of inconsistencies. Say what you want about modern Japanese animation, but despite being on a far smaller budget than most American animated shows, it looks way superior. With well done drawings, movements that feel more natural, and proper lighting, and is often consistent. Call me a weeb, but that's how I feel in this scenario. Now, movies on the other hand, I'd argue both still look good. Though I'm a little burned out on Pixar's animation, there's no denying the talent and effort put into bringing it to life. But that's not really its budget. It just has talented workers that care about what they're making, regardless about how I feel about the art style. It does work for the tone of the movies, so I can't really criticize it for using the same style too much. Long story short, it all comes down to how talented the artist is. So anyway, please comment your thoughts down below, and if you like this video, please hit that like button, share it around, and please subscribe. Maybe even follow me on social media where I keep you up to date on upcoming projects and I post more awesome content. This is Daikaiju SpaceZilla, leaving the building.
Thank you.